Well, the form guide isn't much help. Adelaide have steadied in recent weeks after a wobble of a 5-game winless streak. And victory, despite those Champions League woes, have won 3 of their last 4 in the A-League, with Sydney's injury time winner in the big blue their only blemish. It is the Cup winners versus the reigning champions, 4th against 3rd. And South Australians never really need much excuse to hate on the Victorians. This one could be tasty. It could even be a classic. So, to the strains of Oasis, let's remind you of the team news. Just the one change for the Reds. Nikola Miljusnic is in for his first start in over 2 months, with Jordi Thomason dropping back down to the bench. Ben Halloran will play up front, with George Blackwood in the hole. Baba Diawara is back in training, but isn't included in the matchday squad. Ryan Strain remains absent with a hamstring injury. Kevin Muscat has resisted the temptation to make changes, that despite the return to fitness of Lawrence Thomas, Terry Antonis and Carl Valeri. Matt Acton, Raul Baena and Elvis Kamsoba therefore continue. All 5 of Victory's visa players start together for just the 3rd time this season and the 2nd in succession. Jordan Elsey back from injury on the bench for the Reds, who also include Pacific Nyongabire, the brother of Victory's Elvis Kamsoba. And Victory have 3 internationals on their bench, Rue, Antonis and Valeri. Corey Brown is absent altogether. There's a beautiful night in the City of Churches. It's been very warm during the day, above 30, a bit cooler now, 25 degrees. The pitch, as ever here, is perfect. Marco Kurtz taking charge of Adelaide at home, perhaps for the last time. He reckons 4 points from the last 2 will be enough to give him one more shot in the finals at this venue. He wants the Reds fans to be his team's 12th man tonight. Referee is Brisbane's Peter Green, who after tonight will be just the 1 match away from the double ton in the A-League. And a busy 24 hours for Chris Beath. He was in the middle last night for the Sydney-Perth Glory game, and he's doing VAR duty this evening back in Sydney. Kevin Muscat juggling resources for another busy period of 3 matches in 8 days, with Guangzhou Evergrande due in Melbourne on Tuesday, then a trip to the Wanderers. But he knows they must win tonight to stay within range of Sydney FC. Is this to be the night when Craig Goodwin breaks his little drought? 7 matches without a goal. If he gets one tonight, he will become just the 4th Red to hit double figures in a single A-League campaign. No such problems for Ola Toivonen, a round dozen for the big Swede, and Victory are yet to lose when he scores. So what a night in prospect here at Cooper Stadium. There's nothing quite like this fixture. So many memories. Muscat Kosmina, Archie's 5-goal salvo, Van Dijk's free kick, Berisha's overhead kick in last year's finals. These two, Andy Harper, rarely disappoint.
No, and there's a real sense around the ground. A fantastic gallery. Adelaide fans love it when Victory come to town, because it brings the best out in the fans and often brings the best out in the team as well. And certainly the way Marco Kurtz operates, the intensity that he brings with his team is completely suited for this matchup tonight. And it will be, I'm sure, compulsive viewing.
That was an important touch by Thomas Deng, just to hold up Craig Goodwin for a moment as Adelaide look to start as they mean to go on. Ryan Kitto continuing in that left fullback role, having to chase his own through ball because it was a little wide of Goodwin. Thomas Deng, who grew up in Adelaide before switching over to Melbourne, so I'm sure he'll have plenty of friends and family in the pack stands tonight. Chested down by Mirko Bolens and floated in by Kitto. It came off Niedermeyer and grabbed out of the night sky by Matt Acton, who continues in place of Lawrence Thomas. Between the sticks for Kevin Muscat's team. And Muscat perhaps, Andy, with one eye on that busy fixture list over the next few weeks, resisting that temptation to make changes?
Yeah, you know, I just sense in the last couple of weeks, given a couple of the things that's happened to the Victory team and they've brought upon themselves and they've been inflicted upon them, etc., he's just taken a couple of angry tablets, Kevin Muscat, and I actually don't think it's a bad thing. Every now and again, even the best players need to be brought back into line. He's made some changes. Lawrence Thomas has been left out. Matt Acton's responded brilliantly in goal.
Little break here for Keisuke Honda, who's stretching to keep it away from the clutches of Mirko Boland. Stolen by Isaias. Whistle goes. Free kick for Adelaide. I think you're right. I think Muscat has perhaps just given his players a little bit of a G-up. Don't think he needs angry pills, really, does he, Muskie?
Well, you know, they're in that stage of the season now. The Champions League has been hugely disappointing for them. They need to win tonight to keep the pressure on Sydney going into the last round. But, of course, you know, that gap is frustrating for them as well. And a couple of poor performances, individual errors here and there, and you know, it's the right thing to do. The coach has to pull the rein and say, we need to sharpen up, or some of you need to sharpen up. Certainly got a good response in the game last week. That might have made it a bit more comfortable on the scoreboard, but the Mariners were great value. It was a terrific game to watch.
It's gone the wrong side of George Blackwood from Adelaide's point of view. Victory with an excellent record here in South Australia. Just a one loss in the last 8 visits. Mind you, that was their last trip here in January. And they went down by 2-0. Michael Zapponi is sidelined for us tonight. Evening, Zappa.
Good evening, Simon. Brilliant conditions for football tonight. No breeze to speak of at all. And this is one of the best stadiums in the A-League. Perfect conditions, as I said, and both sets of crowds making plenty of noise. Melbourne Victory fans have travelled in massive numbers. You can see behind the Victory goal tonight, huge numbers of fans in that bottom level, absolutely packed, and they're making plenty of noise. And before the game, plenty of Victory shirts in town. All the watering holes were full. It's all set up for a brilliant evening.
Sure is. Thanks, Zappa. George Blackwood. A little too eager on Keisuke Honda. Acton, heavy touch. Well, he was a bit fortunate to get away with that. Closed down very quickly by Ben Halloran. As we know, has got pace to burn. Just an uncertain touch by the goalkeeper. So too by Keisuke Honda, which is unlike him. Looking to atone, gets it forward towards halfway, but only finds Jakobsen, who will sweep it out towards Ryan Kitto on the left with that sweet left peg in towards Blackwood. Helps it on. I'm pretty sure it was intended as an effort on goal, but just a little bit too acute of an angle for him to crane the neck muscles.
It was unfortunate for Adelaide that it was just that half yard behind Blackwood. It was fired in with a beautiful trajectory from Kitto. But if it's just got that half yard more on it, Blackwood hasn't really shown that he's going to nail a header from that sort of range. We've got to be truthful, but he's got a better chance with that ball, just that half-yard adjustment. But nice work from Adelaide. Very sprightly start from them, as we've come to expect.
Darting forward is Kitto again. Just to check his stride under pressure from Honda. And interesting to see the early evidence of what Marco Kurt suggested they might do in the press this week, and that is to press Victory high. It's a nice touch by Goodwin around the corner for Kitto, and they do get a corner off James Donachie.
With the Victory diamond in midfield setting up, Kurt's pinpointed the possible space down the flanks, and there wasn't a glaring gap, but they worked it beautifully. Lovely touch from Goodwin, and Kitto couldn't deliver on that occasion. Had plenty of chance, plenty of time to do so.
Craig Goodwin getting a bit of heat, I can tell you, from those Victory fans on that far side, far corner, I should say. Former Melbourne Heart stroke City player, of course. Isai's to deliver instead. And a purposeful header clear by Thomas Deng. This is Barbarouses, Victory's top scorer with 14, by far his best return in the A-League era. Made even more remarkable, Andy, by the fact, and we've mentioned this before, that he didn't score at all until December. So they've arrived in a real big bunch since then. Niedermeyer stretching but couldn't get there. Blackwood was happy to let it ride out for a corner. Donachie ensured it didn't. Home fans starting to make a bit of noise. Galloway with the throw, eventually. Tidy play by Elvis Kamsoba. Fascinating that he's got his brother on the opposition bench tonight, Pacifique Nyongabire. That would surely go down in National League history, the first two Burundian-born players to feature in an A-League game if Nyongabire was to come on.
With different family names.
Yeah.
That figure.
Here's Choisi, found a little pocket of space between the lines. Barbarouses looking to set himself. Came off Jakobsen. Top of the box is Honda, now Bayena. Honda just waiting for Deng to join him with the attack. And that will be Paul Izzo's.
That was very well recovered, Adelaide. Victory had that opportunity early. Adelaide's defenders got back in good numbers, and it was a decent offering from Tommy Deng, firing the ball across, but very comfortable from Paul Izzo. And taking that cross.
Deng playing a little too close to Craig Goodwin. Interesting battle brewing down that particular side. The early exchanges has seen Goodwin drift inside to open up that channel for Ryan Kitto more often than not. This is Michael Morone continuing in the heart of defence in the absence of Jordan Elsey, maybe not for much longer. Challenged by Galloway. He's had a fine season, either at left back or, as he is tonight, at right full back for the Reds. Off the head of Toivonen. And then Boland back to the big Swede. Kamsoba. Choisi. Back in his home state, of course. No foul on the Melbourne Victory man. Sliding in with studs raised was Thomas Deng, and the card is out for the Victory fullback. There was a little bit of a loss of control by Thomas Deng, heavy touch, which didn't help, and then the studs were up.
Well, as soon as you hit the ground and your legs outstretched like that and you're trying to correct a heavy touch, the referee really will be just sweating on the type of contact you make, if any, and a yellow card is likely to be forthcoming. They squeezed that part of the field really nicely, Adelaide. Very compact. It forced the very rapid exchange of passes in the tight situation, and it was too much for Thomas Deng to deal with.
Here's Acton. Slightly surer touch than some moments ago, but again, that's that high press from the Reds, looking to force Victory into an error. Barbarouses and Toivonen looking to return the compliment at the other end. Touch done by Boland. It was a good touch as well. Advantage played by Peter Green. Now he brings them back. Good refereeing. And he's just telling players from both teams, yep, look, I know this is a big rivalry, but just steady things down a touch. He's not been afraid to go to his pocket early to issue that yellow to Thomas Deng. The rest are on fair warning. Here's Jakobsen. Bit of a nothing ball from the Dane. Niedermeyer. And Peter Green just took his time. Blew the whistle for the infringement by Halloran on Niedermeyer. Scorer of an all-important second and winning goal against the Mariners last week.
He's coming good, Niedermeyer.
On to chase for Toivonen. Moroni with front position. Izzo to clear.
Which is a real fillip for the victory. Donachie's mid-season return to Melbourne victory came without a lot of football for him, and he's starting to find his way, James Donachie. And Niedermeyer is really showing in the last few weeks the sort of player I'm sure that attracted Kevin Muscat.
Isai has played the man, not the ball, despite the protests. So a chance perhaps for Keisuke Honda to show us the full repertoire of his skills. Toivonen is stationed back post. Niedermeyer makes a dart towards the penalty spots. It's fisted clear by Izzo with any great conviction. This is Deng sliding in, perhaps rather rashly at first glance, was Boland. But his persistence paid dividends, although his team is not going to get the throw. Donachie sweeps it out towards Broxham. Kamsoba dropping short. Honda wants it. Isn't the best release by Kamsoba. It's just going to beat Barbarosis.
Victory just not really getting into their rhythm, 15 in, and for that you've got to give enormous credit to the focus and intensity of the Adelaide players. Very, very sharp from them. Look how quick the closing down is. Boland just biting at heels and hacking away at ankles. Very difficult for players to settle with that sort of attention.
Which is exactly what Marco Kurtz demanded of his team. Forward by Galloway. Flag was up against Blackwood. The question, of course, for the Reds all season, Andy, has been who's the regular goal scorer if Craig Goodwin isn't scoring. And at the moment, he's without one in his last 7.
But in the last couple of weeks, he's contributed in other ways. He was directly responsible for 3 goals they scored against Wellington. He needs to start scoring himself as well, of course, but it's not as though his efforts have yielded nothing for the club. It just goes to show that they've been doing it well without the usual electricity provided by their most gifted attacking player.
Stamatolopoulos, of course, scored a brace a few weeks back and then promptly got himself sent off, which I think has rather irritated his coach, reading between the lines, his comments in the media. Diawara, of course, barely sighted all season. Yordi Thomason yet to really fire. Here's Milosnic. Almost every seat taken here at Coopers tonight. It's a wonderful sight. Galloway finding Jakobsen brilliantly, who now releases Kitto. Outside him is Goodwin. 3 in the centre. If they can find a delivery. Isaias. Change of angle for Goodwin. Towards that near post where James Donachie was perfectly stationed.
Yeah, it's excellent defending. Firstly by Donachie, who read the pass and positioned himself nicely just in the corner of that 6-yard box. But behind him was Niedermeyer, who had Blackwood in his back pocket. It really is growing into a nice partnership in the centre of Victory's defence. As late in the season as it may be.
Rolled short for Goodwin to deliver. Jakobsen threw himself at it.
That header from Donachie was incredible then. Speaking of.
Challenge for Donachie again. Diana sorts out the problem for Victory. This is Troisi, and again, it's diligent work by Adelaide United, keeping Victory boxed in. And they find a way out. Honda. Yeah, there was a bit of contact.
Well, clear foul, feverish defending. Victory just cannot break free. And they're being helped at the back end by Donachie, 17, number 17. Positioned beautifully, had the danger man in his sights, that's Jakobsen.
There's Kamsoba. Now Toivonen looking to steer it into that top corner. Really executed well enough, did he? Kitto driven back by Honda. Jakobsen puts his boot through it. Good foraging by Boland. Good game awareness as well to pick out Galloway. Milosnic on his way. Again looking to steer him behind using that pace. Isaias. Tell you what, nearly had his hand taken off there, Isaias, by Toivonen, as he made a grab for the ball. Peter Green perhaps just reminding the Spaniard that it's his job to make the decisions. Wouldn't be an Adelaide Victory game without a bit of niggle, would it?
You need a bit, don't you? Of course, in Toivonen's defence, the whistle hadn't gone.
Yeah.
So he plays the ball.
It's rather wasteful, that free kick as well by Isaias.
And then there was the slightest hint of a trailing leg from Isaias at the end of all that, which didn't connect, thankfully.
Ball's not gone out of the penalty area. It's going to have to be retaken. This is one of the laws they're going to change next year. Well, I think that's a good thing, because Honda knew that Blackwood was right on his tail, so he opted to play at the ball whilst it was still inside the penalty area. The advantage then goes back to the defending team. Shouldn't really, should it? Because that's good play by the opposition. Maybe a long overdue change by IFAB. You're not on that panel, are you, Hart?
No, that is one of sport's exclusive clubs, that.
Right.
Don't even take membership applications.
Bet Boz on it. Gets away from Barbarouses. Those early territorial stats illustrating just how well Adelaide have started this game. Forward by Moroni. Acton out to meet it, ahead of Blackwood. Malron looking to take the quick throw, but not enough teammates in good enough positions. Galloway looked like a handball by Kamsoba, which is confirmed. Matt Crean, the assistant referee on the near side, one of the most experienced in the game. Carvalhairi giving a bit of advice. from his position amongst the substitutes on the sidelines. Good win. It's perhaps a little flatter the delivery than he would have wanted. Miliusnic unable to readjust. But again, Adelaide are quickly in position to apply any press that they might need to do so. And Acton's decided discretion is the better part of valour, and he's going to play it long.
Well, the stop-start nature of the match is certainly helping Adelaide. Victory not able to get into any sort of rhythm. Tense closing down of the Adelaide players is a key part of that.
Over the head of Miliusnic, who believed he was being held by Lee Broxham. A little how-do-you-do between Blackwood and Niedermeyer. Here's the As Live ladder, which shows just how important tonight's game is. Victory, of course, 5 points behind Sydney at start of play. A point would mean that Sydney would finish second. And it would leave Adelaide looking a little nervously over their shoulder at the results of Sunday's game between Wellington and Melbourne City. Here's Ola Toivonen. That's a really good block by Moroni. And then off the head of Kitto. Cam Sober scampers after it, gets there ahead of Galloway. Broxham. Square it up for Baena. Donaghy to join in. And a back heel by Honda, which wasn't read by Toivonen. And tied it up in the end by Isaias. And a double mistake, really, by Victory. James Donaghy missing his kick, and then Thomas Deng played it straight into his teammate, which gives Adelaide another corner.
Well, it's been Adelaide who've been able, of the two teams, to build any sort of pressure on their opponent's goal. It has been largely from corners and free kicks. Sooner or later, maybe the pressure will tell that they're mounting on the Victory goal from these set pieces. Victory have held strong so far.
Well, the Reds have scored 9 headed goals this season if they're going to go the conventional route from the corner. Tap short for Goodwin. Toivonen's header at that near post, where he's nearly always stationed from set pieces, which is one of the reasons why Victory have conceded just 1 headed goal this campaign. Kitto wanting movement, didn't really happen for him. Troisi. Touched by Barbarouses. Toivonen, Cam Sober in a good position. Moroni across quickly. Cam Sober again.
Well,
Kevin Muscat's hugely frustrated by that.
Having talked large about Donaghy and Niedermeyer, I've got to say what a magnificent job Michael Moroni is doing, not just tonight, but since he's moved into the centre of defence, signed the contract extension. He's looking as good as ever. His start tonight in his opening 25 minutes has been fabulous for Adelaide. Michael Moroni. Jordan Nelson might have to wait a bit longer.
Long exchange, incidentally, between Kevin Muscat and Matthew Creel. Without whether that ball had gone out for a throw-in, the whole of the ball had gone out. That was Muscat's view, that it hadn't. Honda dropping in. It's a lovely pirouette away from Boland. Oh, Toivonen missed his kick completely. Not quite found his groove yet, has he, Ola Toivonen, tonight? You could probably say the same for Victory in general as a team. However, we're yet to have a single shot on target, Andy, at either end of the pitch.
Yeah. Well, the pressure on goal has been built by Adelaide's corners and free kicks. Victory haven't been able to settle. But that last contribution from Keisuke Honda, really important. Unfortunately for Victory, it didn't result in an attack that ended up with an effort on goal. But when you're playing against a team like Adelaide tonight, who are very well organised and so keen to close down, that turn and run from Keisuke Honda can be the start of winning back your own momentum. And, you know, they finish with an effort on goal, and the next time the ball goes to Honda, the Reds defenders start dropping off that little bit because you don't want to get beaten again. And it's in this Mexican standoff at the moment. Victory going to be good enough to break away from the Adelaide attention. Adelaide good and fit enough to maintain the focus, keep them in their pocket.
Barbarosa's avoiding the onrushing challenge of George Blackwood. Deng has to be quick. Honda just dallied too long and allowed Boland to get a touch. Now Halloran. Space is at a premium for both teams.
The difficulty and the frustration for Adelaide is having so successfully closed the door. Their transition hasn't really worked. They haven't got the link player nor the target man up front to capitalise on the amount of ball they've won in midfield. Troisi's
feeling the left hamstring, maybe. Comes across and has a word with the physio. No actual physical attention required as yet, but yeah, it's not going to be too long before he needs it. Well, that's not the sort of return that James Troisi wants to his home state. Adelaide born. Just looks as though he might have tweaked a hamstring.
Well, there's no way they'll risk him from here, I wouldn't have thought.
They have, of course, Terry Antonis on the bench. Back to full fitness after that big injury scare in the Big Blue at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Justin Doherty, the Victory physio, assessing James Troisi. And the bibs come off for Antonis. Looks as though it's the end of the section for James Troisi. And I think you're right, Harps. There's no point taking a risk with Champions League and finals football coming up. Hamstrings are not to be messed with.
That's an earlier expected opportunity for Terry Antonis to get serious game time.
It's a very, very solid challenge by Isaias. And again, Peter Green just delayed his decision for a second or two. Raul Baena, the victim, before blowing his whistle. Thoughts, Andy?
Well, he lost his footing, and it becomes careless at that point, even if it was the slip was accidental, but I agree with the decision.
Terry Antonis will be with us. Next break in play. Meantime, Toivonen brings that break in play imminently, and the opportunity for Antonis to replace Troisi. We thought he might be gone for the season, didn't we, when we saw him in such obvious discomfort against Sydney FC a couple of weeks back.
Well, it's a double opportunity, really, for Terry, because he gets to play in the centre of midfield, which...
Yeah, he doesn't normally, does he, in this team?
I think it's his preferred option, but normally he and Honda take up the wide midfield position. Speaking Keisuke Honda, trying again to ignite this victory attack.
Adelaide remaining compact and disciplined. And again, as soon as the ball is played forward, there's an Adelaide player right on the hammer of whoever's on the ball. There's another case in point, and they force the turnover. Little back heel by Goodwin. Isaias works it out towards Goodwin again. And the arm came across from Honda, and he's going to go into the book, the Japanese international, which pleases the majority of the crowd here at Cooper's.
It was an impressive burst by Goodwin. And Honda reaches across, and I got no problem with that. I just wish it was a yellow card every week in the A-League. That should be the standard. It
is a booking for Emperor Keisuke, as he's known in Japan, his 4th of the season. And of more imminent concern for victory is this free kick about to be delivered by Isaias. And Moroni was Sterling in back post, but the whistle had gone. Wouldn't have counted.
Well, it saved his blushes because of the best chance of the game. Dropping to the head of, I think, the best player in the game so far. He's done an amazing job on Toivonen, as well as covering up for other players. It's not offside, it was for pushing.
Yeah, by Jakobsen on Broxham. It was, as you rightly point out, the sort of finish only a defender would love. Goodwin held up by Deng. It's well defended.
When those two open up, it's a great athletic contest, isn't it? Goodwin versus Deng. Thomas Deng did an excellent job then. Goodwin just had that half yard. He must have thought for a second, I'm in on goal here. Great recovery from Deng. And this is certainly an Adelaide victory match with more stoppages than I can recall.
Yeah, it's littered with fouls, isn't it? Not many of them of the nasty variety, but it's niggly stuff. Perhaps underlining what's at stake. Another set piece for Adelaide. Isaias drives it off the head of Blackwood again. It's without much control, though, from George Blackwood.
Well, he's pinged that one. Isaias, but no one with the ability in the air to make anything of it. A difficult one for George Blackwood, as it turned out.
Second time in the game, it's sort of fallen behind Blackwood's run. Another blast on the whistle. Broxham. Niedermeyer, a little bit risky for Donachie. A little feint by Honda to carry his momentum forward, but again, look how wrapped up Thomas Deng was when he got the ball. Halloran. There's just no room for either team. It's like wading through treacle in that midfield area.
Well, skipping through a minefield, and it's just so tight. We've talked about how well Adelaide are covering the ground. And they've got an equal partner in victory who are working very hard as well. Strong work from skipper Broxham, another corner. Adelaide have just been so effective in this approach. Paul Izzo's been a spectator in the Adelaide goal.
Fourth corner for the Reds. Victory yet to win one. See if they can make one pay here, Adelaide. Are they going to continue with a little tap towards Isaias or more conventional? Looks like the latter from Goodwin this time. Looking for that back post area. And again, Moroni, who got the final touch. Did score a couple of weeks ago against Wellington, just the second of his A-League career, 4 years apart. Unable to convert either of his opportunities tonight, although one of them would have been ruled out anyway for a foul by Jakobsen. Galloway, a little bit wider than Milosnic wanted, which forced him off balance. Milosnic, who's just signed a new 2-year extension to his contract. Marco Kurtz thinks there's still plenty to come from the winger, who's suffered from real injury problems this season. Not that Kurtz, of course, will be around to see it. So climbed by Toivonen, and Jakobsen really having a stretch to keep it away from Barbarouses. Not a great release by Izzo either. Could put his team back under pressure. Terry Antonis on the right, swings it in. Good clearing header by Moroni. Did it come off the arm of Baena? Reds fans thought it did. Peter Green, crucially, was well positioned. Now he does blow his whistle. Foul by Donachie on George Blackwood.
Well, that was a rare, promising moment for Melbourne Victory. I can't think of a game where their attack has been so nullified comprehensively, really. They've had a few entries into the penalty area, nothing more.
And yet still no saves made by either Matt Acton or Paul Izzo.
Izzo had to take that cross from Thomas Deng. He did it well along the ground, hit hard, and Matty Acton's had to scamper out of his penalty area once or twice to clear and then organise his defence for those series of corners and free kicks. But the players haven't dealt really with the speed their opponents have put into the effort. The technique is slightly off. Passes even fractionally misdirected. Ball comes crashing down. Free kicks, stop start.
I do agree with your assessment, incidentally, that Adelaide currently ahead on points. With 5 minutes of the first half to run, they'll want to see some reward for that. They haven't actually scored a second half goal in any of their last 8 A-League games, the Reds. Here come Victory. Antonis, oh, it's a teasing, tempting ball for Toivonen. And Izzo didn't know whether to stick or twist.
Well, that's better as a step forward. Antonis swinging that ball in for Toivonen. It's been a pretty good supply line, this one, for the Swede. They're just curling away from him. The two of them have provided some great moments for Victory this year. Izzo not troubled on that occasion in the Adelaide goal.
George Blackwood picked up a bit of a whack from Baena on the way through there. Just a slight delay before we resume. Second football on the pitch, retrieved by a ball boy. Floated forward by Niedermeyer. Harmlessly off the top of Toivonen's head from Adelaide's point of view. Honda seen out by Kitto, wants the throw. Nothing doing. Antonis wrestle his way through. It's almost like a game of American football. You've got to gain territory through individual yardage.
Well, Adelaide have managed to force Victory to play more narrow than they normally would. Maybe that is something that Kevin Muscat might adjust at half-time, but to stretch the Adelaide team, get a little bit more width in their own lead-up, create some more space for people to actually then get the ball and combine with a teammate. It's also frantic at the moment. Look at that pressure again from Boland. I mean, it's excellent from an Adelaide viewpoint. They're quitting this game plan so perfectly. And how did Victory respond?
Well, they've got Keisuke Honda on the ball. He's certainly capable of doing something special. Touched by Barbarouses. Antonis! And the deflection takes it wide. It's probably the closest we've come at either end, in truth. And it will be a Victory corner, which is their first of the game.
Well, he has made a difference, Terry Antonis, in his own little way. But, I mean, the catalyst is Honda. He's the one who's picking the ball up and driving. He's playing a lot more narrow than we'd have come to expect, actually. And he is the player who's looking the most likely to drive Victory on here.
Well, it's a Victory corner, but it's the Adelaide fans behind that goal who are making all the noise. Honda punches it in towards the near post. Goodwin couldn't get it away first time. And the whistle goes in favour of the home side. Foul on Jakobsen. Terrific noise around Coopers. There's just something about this fixture, isn't it? That brings out the best in the Reds on the pitch and off it. Toivonen, Team Sober, maybe a high boots. Play continues. Honda, sliding challenge by Goodwin. Oh, Toivonen trying to bend it. And Victory finishing the first half the stronger. It's two chances they've created, both outside the box, both not far away.
Well, here's the free kick. It was as it was conceded for that last corner on Jakobsen. And then Goodwin stretching in does a great job, but actually what he does is put it on a plate for Toivonen, who instinctively swipes at goalwood. The closest he's come. It was a good effort.
Incidentally, I'm told the reason why the Adelaide fans are currently in full voice as we move into stoppage time is that their kappa has just been allowed inside the ground. Not quite sure what the problem was prior to that. Sure we'll get Michael Zapponi on the case, but he's leading the chance, and sure enough now, here's Goodwin to sling it into the box. Easily away by Donachie. Galloway. Miliusnic gets away from Broxham. Nikola Miliusnic. Oh, and Acton is scrambling away to his left. Had all the angles covered in the end.
Well, Adelaide need to get the ball. For as long as this matchup is on the field, they need to get the ball to Miliusnic as often as they can. And Miliusnic needs to believe he can do something with it, because if he can turn and run at Broxham, fabulous footballer that Lee Broxham is, it's really difficult for him to keep up over those short bursts.
He's okay over short bursts, the kappa. And that is half-time. It has been, in many ways, rather an attritional first half. Both teams very well tactically set up, but just towards the end there, signs that both teams were eager to break free. Ola Toivonen and Terry Antonis before that, with half chances for Melbourne Victory. Nikola Miliusnic As the first half drew to a close at the other end for Adelaide. Lots more to come in this one, you fancy. At the break, though, it's goalless. Adelaide United 0, Melbourne victory 0. Zappers, down to you.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. Michael Moroney was in the thick of it. Michael, you really strangled Melbourne victory. They didn't create many chances. Was that your primary objective in that first 45 minutes?
Yeah, we didn't want too much risk, and you probably saw that. There was a few too many long balls, but I think in the second half it should settle down. Still 0-0, and we're at home, so we're in a good position.
Do you open up a bit in that second half?
Definitely, I think it will, and we just need to get some of that quick players on the ball and in behind, and we'll cause them trouble.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Cheers, thanks.
All right, Adam, looks like we'll have a different second half if Michael Moroney's assessment is anything to read into.
Yeah, thanks, Zappers. It was nice and tight for the first 35, 40 minutes, but at the end there was a few little inklings that Toivonen had that shot, that things were beginning to get a little stretched, Cozzy.
Yeah, but Zappers actually used the right word. Adelaide have been strangling victory. They've done a good job of it as well. And Kurt said on the pod before the game that they're going to try and exploit those little spaces just out wide in between fullbacks and centre-backs, and it's worked more effectively for Adelaide on the left-hand side. Craig Goodwin and Ryan Kitto finding some good space. But the final ball, Melbourne are defending it quite well. There's numbers in the box. You go up the other end, Adelaide are defending quite well also.
Get the thoughts of Archie after the break, also more from Cozzy. We're back in a moment, live from Cooper's Stadium, 0-0, half-time. Adelaide and Melbourne victory. Welcome back to Cooper Stadium, half-time, and it is 0-0. Game, a few chances as Adelaide United look to nail down 4th position. Melbourne Victory look to keep alive hopes of finishing in 2nd position. Tight, tough, everything you expect in an original rivalry game. John Cosmina, Archie Thompson alongside me, Adam Peacock. Arch, what did you make of that? Very little between the two sides.
Yeah, but you always find with games like this, because even players, I mean, atmosphere-wise, it almost doesn't live up to the game, but the game's always going to open up. I thought both teams were disciplined in that first half, but just didn't allow much going forward, or defensively they were set up beautifully, but there's signs that this game's going to open up because there's quality.
The front four, Adelaide almost sometimes are playing a 4-2-4, so their front four are pressing up on Melbourne Victory's back, so that Victory haven't been able to find rhythm. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, they set up the play out from the back. When it's not on, they've got to go long, but even Adelaide have readjusted when Adelaide Victory do play long from goal kick, and they've forced mistakes out of Melbourne, but their pressing has been quite good. Adelaide, sometimes they'll sit off and just wait for the right moment, then they're in, and they've nicked it a lot. They put the Victory back 4, and sometimes their midfield under a lot of pressure. They're not allowing them to carry the ball into the middle of the park. They're not giving them the amount of space they would normally get.
Yeah, Adelaide relying a lot from balls from wide areas. It's not quite coming off at the moment, Archie.
Yeah, but look, you need a presence, I think, in that box. I think Blackwood needs to be a bit proactive, make himself more available in certain areas. Even if you're not going to get anyone going to that, at least make the effort to go front post, make the effort to go back post. If anything, I'd like to see probably Mile Uznic get a bit more of the ball. What I find over the A-League, especially with the youth and the youth with speed, especially in the A-League, they don't utilise it. I'd love to see Mile Uznic get that ball out wide, one-on-one with Broxham, knock it past and get a good delivery in. That's when you need your players like Blackwood, O'Halloran, to show some intent to try to score goals and get down the end of some of these crosses that they are obviously trying to get in there.
Is that fair enough, Cosy? You agree with that?
Yeah, look, it is. I mean, there's good opportunities. There's someone like Nikola Mileušnić is lightning quick. He's one of the quickest. He's in the top 10 in the world, apparently. We need to see more of that from him. Goes outside, goes inside. Marco Kurtz said before the game, he's starting because he needs match minutes coming into the finals. Whether they finish 4th or 6th is irrelevant. But look, they've all been around. All these players, George Blackwood included, have been around long enough to be making a statement, and they're still at that point where they're kids with potential. Forget about potential. Potential doesn't win games. Performance does.
Victory, given a bit of a setback by the fact that James Troisi had to go off, but Antonis came on and he started to hit his passes straight away, so they didn't lose any rhythm there. If anything, they gained a little bit in that regard.
Yeah, I think Adelaide just defended well. They didn't allow some of the key players, or Victory key players, Honda, Troisi, for instance, getting in those little pockets to be able to create. I think that's why Adelaide have done so well and limited opportunities to Victory, just purely because they're just not allowing them to get in behind, just keeping almost those attacking threats in front of them. And I think that's why it's been very limited to seeing what we're usually seeing of a Victory side, very potent attack. I think Adelaide have really nullified that.
This is a big opportunity here, and Keisuke Honda is trying to drift around and get on the ball, and there's a shot from distance, another one coming up from Toivonen as well, Cosy.
Yeah, Toivonen actually had 2 goes at this. We'll have a look at this one coming up, but one of them ballooned over the bar, but this is opportunistic, and it's just intelligent football. I mean, Honda, he sees a chance, and he's unlucky not to score there, but it looks like Izzo had it covered. But that's what the game's got to. There's shots from outside the box. No one, as Archie said, can find space in behind where you can get a clear finish.
Let's get over to Michael Zappone, who's been pitch side and hearing absolutely everything from his vantage point.
There's a fair bit going on between Kevin Muscat and Marco Kurz in that first half. Some heated exchanges in the first 45. I did have a chat to James Troisi as he was coming off the ground into the sheds at half-time, Adam, and he didn't really give me too much, but it sounds as though it's not too bad. I spoke to Carl Valeri as he's coming back out, and Valeri did say that he didn't think it was too bad at all, just a strain, but we'll try and get some more from the Melbourne Victory doctor at half-time. Also, good to note that Glenn, the capo for Adelaide United, wasn't allowed in initially. He's now in. I'm told that the policeman had a bit of a word to him in the pub earlier on. they said, OK, get yourself right, get back in for your last game. He's been the capo for 9 years at Adelaide United. Tonight's his last one, should they not play a final here.
He thought he had the free licence before the game. in the licensee maybe got up. No, there was a massive cheer up on 42 minutes when he eventually got onto the stand, and everyone was carrying on like they'd won the grand final. It was a corner to Melbourne victory. It was a bit weird, but he's out there now. Good atmosphere coming in the second half, I dare say, with him up there. We're back in a moment. Second half, not too far away from Cooper Stadium.
And welcome back to Cooper Stadium on this glorious Good Friday evening. It's been a stalemate in the first 45. Is it about to open up in the second half between Adelaide and Melbourne. Victory, it really has to, as Victory get the second half underway. Given what is at stake, both teams need the 3 points, really. Adelaide to try and secure a home final. Victory to keep their hopes of finishing second ahead of Sydney FC alive. No further changes made by either coach. A reminder, James Troisi went off with what we think is a hamstring problem, to be replaced by Terry Antonis in the first half. And you would hope that we would get a few more goalmouth opportunities second period, Andy Harper.
Well, I think the closing stages of that first half suggested that that might be the case. Be very difficult for Adelaide to maintain that level of physical intensity for the entire 90 minutes, so that should present some openings for Victory, and for Victory as well. They worked very hard to try and cover the ground with Adelaide too, so something will give.
Here's Ola Toivonen looking to create something for Melbourne Victory, and he had 3 players to try and pick out of that back post. He's clearly hit one of them because the verdict is a goal kick. But there are so many flair players on the pitch, you'd fancy this game is not really going to end goalless. Famous last words, of course. It's glanced off the shoulder of Keisuke Honda. In the end, there's the Victory contingent. Lots of them as well. They've come across the border to cheer on their team tonight. The Cooper Stadium really as pretty as a picture this evening. There's few places better in football in Australia on nights like these. Touchback by Toivonen for Antonis. Again, it's pretty heavy going through the middle of the park. So many bodies to navigate. That's a good touch, though, by Barbarosis. Just too far in front of Antonis. Cleared upfield by Izzo. Cushion header by Niedermeyer. Steered back by the Spaniard, Raul Baena. Adelaide, the only team to keep Victory scoreless on the road this season. That was in that 2-0 victory over Kevin Muscat's team back in January. And as mentioned in the first half, Andy, the problem for Marco Kurtz is goals at the other end. They have been kept scoreless in 4 of their last 6 A-League games now, the Reds.
Yeah, and second halves in particular, and even
not in the last 8.
More dire stat, yeah.
That's second half goals, to be clear. Certainly not going to want for support from the Red Army away to our left. At the moment they're having a chase as Victory play it forward through Donachie off the thigh of Toivonen. Squirted away from Antonis. Chested down by Blackwood. Nice little readjustment to bring Boland into the play, and then helped on by Isaias. Galloway's chance to join in with the attack. Useful looking delivery. It's not accurate enough for Blackwood. Retrieved though by Goodwin. It's a disappointing cross.
Disappointing end, most certainly. And it's a great little attack otherwise. Beautiful ball outside of the foot from Isaias to open up the path for Galloway, who hit a searching ball in himself. Again, no particular presence to make the most of it, and unfortunately for Adelaide, Craig Goodwin's cross was a poor one.
Again, Adelaide not allowing Melbourne Victory to play out from the back from the goal kick. Might work out all right for them. Cam Sober just couldn't get the better of Galloway. Good use of the body by Honda. Now Baena. Broxham spotted the run of Toivonen. It's a really good delivery. Ola Toivonen got the better of Paul Izzo first time out, but just couldn't deflect his header goalwards. And Adelaide breathe a big sigh of relief. Now Boland. The crossfield switch, but it's going to get away from Miliusnic. And what a ball to pick out Ola Toivonen at the other end. Might have well have been offsides, so the VAR might have intervened had that been a goal eventually.
It's what's often left unsaid about challenges like that is the bravery of Toivonen, who's backing away as the ball's flighted over. He knows the goalkeeper's, or expects the goalkeeper is going to be coming thunderously to punch the ball clear. But he didn't shirk his responsibility. Izzo came off a second best in that exchange, but couldn't control the header. I suspect you're right, Simon. It would have been rubbed out for offside anyway.
Kamsoba. Honda. Toivonen. Danny wanted it played down the line for him. Instead, they work it back through Honda, who almost lost his bearings for a moment. And the gap might appear now for Ola Toivonen, who screws his shot across the face of goal. Might have done better with that. But the threat is clear from Victory.
It's sort of the way of things tonight, just really tight space that Victory couldn't quite navigate themselves. It required the rebound. Toivonen, under close attention, pulled his shot wide. Good sided goal for him. Came close at the end of the first half, if you'll remember, with that curling effort from outside the penalty area.
All the early pressure has come from Melbourne Victory at the outset of this second half. Still no shots on target by either side. Victory looking to build. Here's Elvis Kamsoba. Drops it on for Barbarouses, who's run out of pitch there. Ahead of, well, right in front, I should say, of the Melbourne Victory fans. And shows his frustration.
Well, Kamsoba, Barbarouses, two very exciting players, haven't really been able to get into the game so far this evening.
Tied it up by Michael Jakobsen. Ryan Kitter. Donachie strong in the challenge with Blackwoods. Good intervention by Boland. Peter Green thought about blowing his whistle there, but thought better of it. Here's Blackwood again, has Boland outside him. Donachie read that intention. Decision is a goal kick, which has hugely irritated Mirko Boland. And I can tell you Marco Kurtz on the sideline as well.
I'll show you after the game the rule. I'll show you in your book.
That's the voice of Marco Kurtz you can hear there. I'll show you the rules. He's saying a fourth official, Daniel Elder.
You are so... Oh my God, Tim. Bowler, come on, Bowler.
You can't say he's not passionate, Harms.
I love him. I don't know quite what his beef is at the moment. They got that goal kick call right, if that's what he was blowing up about. But
I think it was, yeah.
no, I think he's fantastic. Done a great job with this team. It still mystifies me that Adelaide United have decided he's not good enough for what they need or want, but they must have someone special in mind.
There are some Adelaide fans I know who actually disagree with that assessment and think he might have done a bit better, but anyway, that's probably a debate for another day. One thing is certain, he wants to go out on a high. Oh, that's a risky back pass, but Peter Green's going to bring them further back upfield for an infringement on Nikola Milouznic. And again, this game just remains waiting for the spark that is required. It was Kamsoba, the offender on that occasion. Victory's 15th foul, almost double that of the Reds. Peter Green has been consistent. 2 yellow cards have both gone Victory's way. Oh, mistake by Donachie that could be in here. Niedermeyer providing excellent cover.
Yeah, very swift coverage. The ball tantalising for Blackwood. He must have thought half a shout here, but Niedermeyer whipped in beautifully.
Pushed out by Moroney towards Galloway, and then an error by Isaias could open the door here for Melbourne Victory. And Tonis picks out Toivonen beautifully, but he's got 2 defenders to deal with, and 1 was enough. Jakobsen, very tidy work. Clearance by Kitto, only finds Deng though. Now with Honda. Grounds Goodwin. Squared up by Deng for Kamsoba. Just slightly overcooked that, Kamsoba, but Broxham to retrieve. And Tonis. Good little spell of possession for Melbourne Victory. Baena, Honda. Out for Deng again on the right. Toivonen. Everybody behind the ball for Adelaide United. Said it might be difficult for the Reds to maintain that structure and discipline for the whole 90 minutes. They're being given a fair old test in this second half. Look at those possession stats for Victory.
And this is the best single block of possession that Victory have had. It's taken them 56 minutes.
Donachie. Baena turning clear of Blackwoods. He's a little bit hurried in his release towards Barbarouses. And it goes off Isaias. Might be dreaming of another grand final moment, perhaps, as we head towards that pointy end of the season. Like the one he had in 2016, which amazingly remains Adelaide's last home final. If they win tonight, they'll be big favourites to get another one this season. If not, could open the door for Wellington Melbourne City. They play on Sunday. Bottom 4, meantime, face off tomorrow in the A-League. Brisbane Newcastle at Suncorp. Last home game for Matt Mackay, and then the Mariners against the Wanderers. Actually, it's not the last home game for Matt Mackay, is it? Because they play Adelaide at home in their final match. So he's got a couple of chances to wave goodbye to his adoring public up there in Queensland.
Anzac Day, is that game?
Correct. Barbarouses looking to bisect the 2 central defenders, but good strength shown by Michael Moroney. Dug out by Kamsoba. Good determination. And Tonis. Every yard, every metre has to be earned. Honda slips it through the gap for Kamsoba. Corner ball. As appealed for en masse by the Victory fans.
That's right. It's really hard graft for Victory. I mean, you called it really nicely, Simon. Every metre fought for, tooth and nail. And Victory just starting to flex their muscles, just.
Can a set piece do the trick for them? Barbarouses' delivery, and Niedermeyer got a touch on it. Showing he can pose a threat inside the penalty area, as he did last week.
Oh, he was there too, Big George, wasn't he? Looks to the heavens.
Just glanced off that floppy blonde mane, didn't it? Halloran. Blackwood, back for Isaias. Boland. There's Kitto outside him. Goodwin in a good area as well. Here's Craig Goodwin. Takes the corner off Raul Baena. Adelaide's chance to apply some pressure in front of the Red Army. Jakobsen and Moroni walking forward to take up their positions. They'll work it back short for Boland instead. Change of angle for Goodwin. Ola Toivonen does so much good work, defensive set pieces. And he was brave in going for that header as well to keep it away from Halloran.
Well, played advantage all night, Peter Green, and did it well, but he saw no advantage for victory there, evidently. It was a huge foul by Isaias, climbing all over the back. The Melbourne player trying to break away.
Into the final half an hour. And we're still as we started. Kitto's quick throw. Those sort of little moments that perhaps one of these team needs to create a metre. Crossed by Kitto. Off the head of Niedermeyer. Toivonen not where he wanted it to go. Isaias rolls it into the path of Galloway. Looking for Goodwin, back post. And it's cannoned into Thomas Dang. They appeal for hands. But Peter Green says corner is all you're having. Let's have another look at it.
Well, Galloway picks the back post out. He's been dangerous tonight, Galloway.
Don't think you could possibly give that as a penalty unless you disagree.
Well, the VAR will be working on it now, so let's... I don't think so.
No.
It's a half a yard away. His arm's close to his body. He hasn't played at the ball.
It's not Fernando Llorente, is it, on Wednesday night? Had to get that in. Here's the corner. Isaias driving it deep. Good header by Jakobsen, but an easy claim in the end for Acton. Good steal by Halloran, who'd stayed back for the corner, perhaps precisely for that possibility. Ben Halloran driving into the box. His shot is blocked by Broxham. Baena. Victory trying to pick their way forward. Boland says you can't have it. Forward by Deng. Touch, not the deftest by Toivonen. And Tonis sorts things out, I should say, with Kamsoba. Now Costa Barbarouses on the left, with Galloway and Isaias for company. Honda. Barbarouses. Looking for the space, but there was just none available.
There is no space. And so diligent has been the Adelaide effort. The Victory players have just lost the surety of their touch. Better in the second half than the first. It's been an enormous job done by Adelaide here to clamp down on Melbourne Victory and really suffocate them. Enormous amount of work's been done by the Adelaide players.
A game for the purist, the tactical purist, Andy. Isn't it Jose Mourinho said the perfect scoreline is 0-0, or somebody like that?
Well, there's a lot of the Italian attitude in there, the Catenaccio.
Yeah.
The perfect win is 1-0. Any win's a perfect win for Adelaide as they look to secure a home final. Any sort of win will do for Victory as well, as they try to keep pressure on Sydney for second position.
cross by Jakobsen to pretty good effect as well. Here's Miliusnic. He's only really been able to have sporadic impact, even with that searing pace. Well, you can say the same for a lot of the other flair players. The attacking threats on both teams. Halloran shut down immediately by Baena. Ben Halloran, who reportedly attracted the interest of Melbourne Victory before signing for Adelaide in the off-season. Rumour was that the arrival of Keisuke Honda did for that idea for Halloran. Here's Michael Morone, who does only fine. Keisuke Honda, a slip by Deng, that could be costly. Blackwoods, Ben Halloran finds the gap for Goodwin. Little back heel for Kitto, Adelaide threatening. Desperate defending by Honda, and really effective. They appeal for handball again, this time against the Japanese midfielder. But he just threw his body in the road of that cross from Ryan Kitto. VAR will be having a look at that, no doubt. And Peter Green just touched his ear as if to say, yep, look, we're in contact, don't worry.
Well, Adelaide are taking as long as they can with the throw. Peter Green's already told them 2 or 3 times to get the ball in. It's been reviewed. There was brilliant defending from Honda, who's working hard again now.
It's what the great players do, don't they? We see it week in, week out from the likes of Milos Ninkovic as well. They don't neglect their defensive duty. Here's a great example of it. I don't think it even hits his arm. Unless you disagree, Andy?
Well, it's certainly not comprehensive there, but if it does, then you've got to mount the case that it was intentional handball. I think the right outcome. Mirko Boland, just after that frame, was really trying to get the crowd going. He got custard pied. Message from the fans to Mirko was, score us a goal. And he got us.
Well, it's not looked hugely likely for the Reds in this second half, at least. There's another foul, this time on Isaias. He wants Peter Green to keep count.
It's running out of fingers, so isn't it?
Goodwin. Driven back by Deng. Galloway. Look how deep Ben Halloran is. That's an indication of how the game's gone. Jakobsen. Blackwood. It's really calm defending by Niedermeyer. Showing all the quality of a man who's played at the highest level in Germany for so many years. Baena. Kamsoba. Honda. Thomas Deng. Forced back by Goodwin. Niedermeyer. Now the space opens up just a little bit for Lee Broxham. Tonis off balance. Breaks here for Boland. Outside of the boots, Donachie read it. Honda. Barbarousis, Antonis. Toivonen offside. I just wonder whether we're getting to that point of the game where Kevin Muscat is maybe thinking about Kenny Athew in a game as tight as this. Maybe set pieces. Toivonen clearly offside.
Yeah, well, that may be time. They haven't had a lot of offerings of set pieces, Melbourne Victory. You know, Keisuke Honda is playing a very narrow midfield role. not sure if I wouldn't be inclined. Well done by Crackman, but from the victory viewpoint, just to drop Keisuke Honda in the middle. Move Terry Antonis back out to the wider midfield position where he's played most of the season.
Oh, Honda,
he's on a
now
card.
he is on a yellow card. And that's why the Adelaide players have gone to Peter Green to remind him of that fact. He did catch Kito, and he was a little high. There's a game of push and shove going on between Barbarouses and Isaias as you watch this replay. I'll tell you what, you know, I reckon he's going to be very lucky to get away with that. He's caught him above the knee.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a yellow card offence.
Keisuke Honda has got away from the scene of the crime. Peter Green taking counsel from Chris Beath, the VAR. No further action required. I think he's been given a get-out-of-jail-free card there.
I think it's a second yellow for sure. In my mind.
Anyway, maybe Adelaide can extract punishment from the free kick. Isaias to deliver into a good area, but Acton with a very sound claim. And a quick release for Elvis Kamsoba with Halloran scampering back after him. He's done really good defensive work tonight, Ben Halloran, utilising that pace to chase back when needs be.
Well, the decision-making from Victory has just been off. Touch has been off. Have not been able to get themselves set really at all. There's been periods in the second half when they've played the ball around nothing more than like them, not their normal selves.
Looks like Storm Roux might be the go-to man off the Victory bench. Of course, does like to get forward down that right-hand side, perhaps a little bit more than Thomas Deng. Can play further in advance of the right fullback as well. Interesting to see what Kevin Muscat does, and the identity of the player is to be replaced. At one moment, increasingly looks likely to settle this. It's a really good challenge by Donachie, time to perfection. Kamsoba, Galloway herring after Antonis. Back through Broxham. Honda. Broxham again. Leaves it for Deng. Broxham, not quite. Clearing header by Moroni. Baena far too tight on Halloran. Miliusnic. Kito. Goodwin a little strong for Jakobsen. Fortunately, there was no Victory player in the vicinity waiting to pounce. Jakobsen with another of his trademark crossfield balls, which hits its mark. Galloway. Halloran just leading into Lee Broxham. And here's that change for Victory, and it's going to be a like-for-like swap. Thomas Deng, who was dragged early last week against the Mariners after conceding the penalty, converted by Matt Simon, is again getting the early mark. And Storm Roux will take his place. A little bit more impetus down that right flank offensively.
Yeah, they've not used much width at all this evening. They've kept the field closed, pretty close by their standards, Melbourne Victory.
Crowd of almost 13,000 inside Coopers tonight. Enjoying a real arm wrestle between these two old rivals. Honda a little bit too far in advance of Antonis, who time Hunter's challenging the tackle beautifully, as did Donachie. Well, I thought Donachie had there, but maybe it's Bayana who's been pinged. Adelaide in a hurry to get on with it. Brought down beautifully by Craig Goodwin. Could this be the moment for the Reds? He had a little glance around there, Goodwin, and there wasn't an awful lot on for him. And the door is quickly shut.
So he was expecting Ben Halloran to actually make a run in beyond the defenders. Halloran's option was a more conservative one.
Who's going to blink first, if anyone? Jakobsen. Steered back by Boland. Moroni. Not what was required. He's had a solid game otherwise. Moroni had a couple of opportunities as well, didn't he, first half? To break the deadlock.
Well, I think the 4 centre-halves on show here tonight have all been outstanding. Jakobsen, Moroni's partner, superb, and at the other end of the field, Niederbayern, particularly Donachie, just excellent for Melbourne victory. It's been a night for defenders.
Michael Moroni. Well, it might take something like that from long range, and he thought, blow it, I'm going to have a go. Somebody needs to. Let's go down to Michael Zapponi, who's still pitch side for us, Zappers.
Yeah, we spoke to Michael Moroni at half-time, and he said, yes, the job at the first half was to strangle Melbourne victory. We may open up a little bit more in the second half. We've certainly haven't seen any evidence of that so far, Simon. I think you might speculate that perhaps Marco Kurz coming into the game said 4 points is enough for us to secure a home final. So perhaps tonight they think, OK, let's try and secure this 1 point against Melbourne victory and back themselves in their final game of the season away to Brisbane Roar to secure the other 3.
Interesting theory. Point, of course, is not good enough for victory to keep the battle alive for second spot. So perhaps the onus is a bit more on them. Kevin Muscat's furious about the fact that Storm Roux was dragged back there and that there was no card issued. It's been that sort of a night. Arguing over trifles.
Well,
and not the edible kind.
Well, it was the... that's what got Kosuke Honda his yellow card in the first half.
Here is Honda, talking of which. Closed down by Kitto. And it's going to be a corner which Kitto disagrees with.
Well, I mean, this was an amazing bit of play as well. The recovery from Kitto was fabulous. That touch at full tilt from Honda. How difficult is that to do? And as I guess to underline the tone of the game, as soon as he brought the ball down, there was a Reds player right on his hammer.
See if he can find the right delivery from the corner. He can. It's in the back of the net, but the whistle's gone. It's not going to count. James Donachie preparing to celebrate, but Peter Green had already turned his back on the play. Foul on the edge of the 6-yard box on Moroni, perhaps. Niederbayern, the guilty party. And the stalemate continues. Here's another look at it, different angle. Yeah, I'm not sure there's a whole lot in that, Harps.
Well, I can't see much.
I think
from the angles
Moroni, if
anything,
shown, cannons into his own player. Interesting. Nice replay suggesting victory. A little bit hard done by, to say the least. Jordy Thomason is being readied for Adelaide. He's going to be their first change. Good turn by Roux. Still such little space available. Adjusted down by Baena. That's an intelligent ball. Honda. Again, really had to go first time because he just had no time. Halloran having a turn again. There were just no options. Isaias. Now Galloway. Could this be the moment for the Reds, perhaps? Deepest of all is Halloran. Looks for Goodwin, who brings it down beautifully. The Reds still buzzing around the Victory penalty area. Galloway's cross is blocked. Now with Isaias. Useful delivery, and Blackwood has maybe won it for Adelaide United. George Blackwood. A towering header on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Coopers erupts. And just a couple of minutes after Melbourne Victory perhaps felt as though they should have had a goal at the other end.
It's a beautiful ball, this, from Isaias. And Blackwood, who's not really threatened in the air, thunders through and might have made this a great Friday for Adelaide United. Plenty of defenders there for Melbourne. None sufficiently attacking the ball, but Blackwood in between two. He rises nicely and steers the ball down and into the back of the net.
Well, George Blackwood grabbed his first ever goal for the Reds in this fixture. You fancy this one is just a tad more important, with that home final up for grabs. And what must Kevin Muscat and Victory be making of all this? After having a goal at the other end chalked off, and a reminder of the rule, if you're thinking that maybe the VAR should have intervened, they couldn't because Peter Green had blown his whistle before the ball hit the back of the net off James Donachie. For what seemed like innocuous contact on Michael Moroney. So all of a sudden, this game, for so long, the real war of attrition has exploded into life. Kitto floats it forward. Backtracking was Donachie. Victory want to keep second spot alive. They're going to have to score twice in these final 7 or 8 minutes, plus stoppages. Otherwise, it will be Sydney FC, who, along with Perth, will have the first week of the finals off. Jordy Thomason still waiting his turn. Jakobsen to the feet of the goal scorer. George Blackwood turned in field by Kitto, but only as far as Niedermeyer. A bit careless by Victory. Adelaide's back on the attack. Milejusnic. Here's Mirko Boland. Kitto joining in. Trying to get around Donachie, who won't let him. It's going to be another corner for the Reds.
That's a great surge by Adelaide. Having gotten their lead through George Blackwood, they might have been chasing the game.
Is there contact from Niedermeyer?
It's hardly a compelling case for a foul, really. The ref gets one look at it.
Well, let's quickly go down to Michael Zapponi again, Zappa.
Yeah, a twist of fate for the Reds in their favour. George Blackwood was probably going to be substituted off about 5 minutes ago. Jordy Thomason, who's coming on now, has been standing in the wings 2 to 3 minutes before that goal was scored.
Thanks, Zappa. Yeah, but he's pleased, Marco Kurtz. He kept a little bit of patience with Blackwood. He could be the match winner. Jordy Thomason on, as is Kenny Athew, in place of Elvis Kamsoba. So Kevin Muscat has used all his options up on the bench. Adelaide in no particular hurry to take the corner. Tap short for Goodwin by Isaias, who gets the return. Isaias again. Useful ball in. Good header away by Athew. Halloran sets himself nicely.
And it sat nicely. Again, the delivery from Isaias was really testing for the Victory defence, but it was a good headed clearance from Kenny Athew. And then Ben Halloran positioned beautifully, set it up nicely, finished poorly.
So a double-pronged attack now for Melbourne Victory with Athew and Toivonen. Barbarouses perhaps the play just off with Honda a little deeper. And Tonis on the left. Baena floats it forward. Good ball by the Spaniard. Here's Kenny Athew. Is there something still in this for Victory? Goes through the legs of Barbarouses. Keisuke Honda. Good block by Michael Jakobsen. The Victory are not done yet. They have to be mindful of keeping the back door shut. Goodwin. Miliusnic, little glance over the shoulder to see where Halloran is. Now the Reds can take their time. Clock's on their side. Boland. Miliusnic has just sat down on the turf. So they might have got a touch of cramp. Niedermeyer, of course, is in no mood to allow him to delay the restart.
Well, he's lasted longer than we were told before the game. Kurtz had 60 minutes in mind for Miliusnic and then bellowed out to him to hit the turf. It's time for a change, it's time for a rest, it's time for us to kill a bit of momentum in this game.
So a chance to slow the game down for Marco Kurtz, which will suit him just fine. Kurtz did tell us pre-game that Miliusnic will probably only last an hour. First start in over 2 months. Here's the disallowed goal again. Let's get another look at a different angle. Is there anything by Niedermeyer? There is a little bit of contact, isn't there? But it's, I don't know, I think it's marginal. Maybe you've got a different view at home. The arm does go across, but whether he's going to get to that ball anyway, I don't know. It's going to be a big talking point post-game, there's no doubt about that. Meantime, Andy Miliusnic has given way, and Vince Leah is on for his 250th A-League game. Congratulations to him. And Victory is starting to run short of time to try and save this game. Baena needs some help. Honda. Well, they needed a spark from their talisman. It's now. He gets a free kick. And Boland gives him a bit of a spray as well. You won't be surprised to hear Niedermeyer, Donachie stationed at the back post, looking to attack this. Honda aims in that direction, but it's way too close to Paul Izzo. Good safe pair of hands.
Keeper always favoured on that one.
Come on!
Here's Marco Kurtz about to go out a winner at home in the regular season. Might still get another go in the finals at this venue. Athew trying to climb ahead of Jakobsen. Thumped forward by Kitto. How much time to be added on is the next question. Thrown forward by Broxham. A little nudge on Honda that was enough to take him out of the play, and then a foul on Athieu, which Adelaide don't like. We've got 4 additional minutes at the end of a very, very tense night here in South Australia. Adelaide protecting a slender lead given to them by the now departed George Blackwood. Keisuke Honda might have been sent off for what appeared to be a second bookable offence. He's still on the pitch. Victory have had a goal ruled out. There's been a fair few talking points in this second half. Are we about to get a final twist? Honda, again, it's too close to Izzo. Second time in a row from the Japanese maestro. Infringement by Thomason. On balance, is this the right scoreline, Harps, or not?
I think, well, there's a couple of pretty contentious talking points which going to cloud that discussion. But of the two teams, Adelaide have been able, I think, to impose their will more than Melbourne Victory. It's a will that set about making sure their illustrious opponents couldn't play, and to the extent that Victory haven't been able to get into any sort of rhythm.
Here's Halloran looking to make the game safe. Lays it off for Thomason, still without a goal. Halloran wanted a foul. Temper's starting to fray again. Marco Kurtz outside his technical area. Not happy with Peter Green. There's a bit of a gap to exploit here for Ben Halloran. Could this finish it? Nobody at the back post. Thomason drawn towards the near. And Victory survive. And they've got less than 2 minutes to try and steal a point. It probably won't be enough to keep them in the race for second. Forward by Honda, off the head of Athieu. Here's Niedermeyer inside the penalty area. Whistle's gone again.
Playing a handball by Niedermeyer, I think, and trying to control that.
Well, he had the crucial say against the Mariners last week. Maybe that his arm across Michael Moroney, as slight as it may have been, has been the key moment here at Cooper Stadium again tonight. Into the last 60 seconds. Here's perhaps a crucial stat of the evening as well, Andy. Victory have yet to register a single shot on target tonight. Last knockings here. Honda still showing great energy to get away from Borland. Niedermeyer's now playing as a centre forward effectively. And we're ending as we started. In a real war of attrition between these two rivals who don't like each other too much. And there's been plenty of niggly stuff tonight.
How do Sweden and Denmark get on usually?
Scandinavian rivalry. We're into the 5th minute of stoppage time. Adelaide are almost over the line. And Peter Green confirms it. A big roar around Cooper Stadium. A big, big win for the Reds. They're now red-hot favourites for a home final as they edge out Melbourne Victory on an oh-so-tense evening here at Cooper Stadium. George Blackwood with the only goal of the game. There was controversy just before that as Victory had a goal from James Donachie ruled out, but he's the match winner. Adelaide